a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Abbey Road. Abbey Road is the 11th studio album by English rock band The Beatles, released on the 26th of September 1969 by Apple Records. The recording sessions for the album were the last in which all four Beatles participated. Although Let It Be was the final album that the Beatles completed before the band's dissolution in April 1970, most of the album had been recorded before the Abbey Road sessions began. A two-sided hit single from the album, Something, backed with Come Together, released in October, topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart in the US. Abbey Road is a rock album that incorporates genres such as blues, pop, and progressive rock, and it makes prominent use of the Moog synthesizer and a Leslie speaker. Side 2 contains a medley of song fragments edited together to form a single piece. The album was recorded amid a more enjoyable atmosphere than the Get Back/Let It Be sessions earlier in the year, but there were still frequent disagreements within the band. John Lennon had privately left the group by the time the album was released, and McCartney publicly quit the following year. Although Abbey Road was an immediate commercial success and reached in the UK and US, it initially received mixed reviews, some critics describing its music as inauthentic and bemoaning the production's artificial effects. Many critics now view the album as the Beatles' best and rank it as one of the greatest albums of all time. In particular, George Harrison's contributions, Something, and Here Comes the Sun, are considered to be among the best songs he wrote for the group. The album's cover, which features the four band members walking across a zebra crossing outside Abbey Road Studios, has become one of the most famous and imitated images in the history of popular music. Background. After the unpleasant recording sessions for the proposed Get Back album, Paul McCartney suggested to music producer George Martin that the group get together and make an album, the way we used to do it. Free of the conflict that had begun during sessions for the Beatles, Martin agreed, but on the strict condition that all the group, particularly John Lennon, allow him to produce the record in the same manner as earlier albums and that discipline would be adhered to. The first sessions for Abbey Road began on the 22nd of February 1969, only 3 weeks after the Get Back sessions, in Trident Studios. There, the group recorded a backing track for I Want You, with Billy Preston accompanying them on Hammond organ. No further group recording occurred until April, because of Ringo Starr's commitments on the film The Magic Christian. After a small amount of work that month, and a session for You Never Give Me Your Money, on the 6th of May, the group took an 8-week break before recommencing on the 2nd of July. Recording continued through July and August, with the last backing track, for Because, being taped on the 1st of August. Overdubs continued through the month, with the final sequencing of the album coming together on the 20th of August, the last time all four Beatles were present in a studio together. McCartney, Starr, and Martin have reported positive recollections of the sessions, while George Harrison said, "We did actually perform like musicians again." Lennon and McCartney had enjoyed working together on the non-album single, The Ballad of John and Yoko, in April, contributing friendly banter between takes, and some of this camaraderie carried over to the Abbey Road sessions. Nevertheless, there was a significant amount of tension between the group members. According to author Ian MacDonald, McCartney had an acrimonious argument with Lennon during the sessions. Lennon's wife Yoko Ono had become a permanent presence at Beatles recordings and clashed with other members. Halfway through recording in June, Lennon and Ono were involved in a car accident. A doctor told Ono to rest in bed, so Lennon had one installed in the studio so she could observe the recording process from there. The album's two halves represented a compromise. Lennon wanted a traditional release with distinct and unrelated songs, while McCartney and Martin wanted to continue their thematic approach from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by incorporating a medley. Lennon ultimately said that he disliked Abbey Road as a whole and felt that it lacked authenticity, calling McCartney's contributions music for the grannies to dig, and not real songs, and describing the medley as junk, just bits of songs thrown together. During the sessions, Lennon expressed a desire to have all of his songs on one side of the album, with McCartney's on the other. Nobody was entirely sure that the work was going to be the group's last, though Harrison said, "It felt as if we were reaching the end of the line." After the album was released, the Get Back/Let It Be project was re-examined, and work on it continued into 1970. Therefore, Let It Be became the last album to be finished by the Beatles, even though its recording had begun before Abbey Road. By September 1969, after the recording of Abbey Road, Lennon had formed a new group, the Plastic Ono Band, in part because the Beatles had rejected his song, Cold Turkey. While Harrison worked with such artists as Leon Russell, Doris Troy, Preston and Delaney and Bonnie through to the end of the year, McCartney took a hiatus from the group after his daughter Mary was born on the 28th of August. On the 20th of September, Lennon formally announced his departure to the other Beatles. Abbey Road was released on the 26th of September 1969. The single, Something/Come Together, followed in October. While Lennon released the Plastic Ono Band's version of Cold Turkey the same month, the Beatles did little promotion of Abbey Road directly, and no public announcement was made of the band's split until McCartney announced he was leaving the group in April 1970, at which point they disbanded. Come Together. Come Together was an expansion of Let's Get It Together, a song Lennon originally wrote for Timothy Leary's California gubernatorial campaign against Ronald Reagan. A rough version of the lyrics for Come Together was written at Lennon's and Ono's second bed-in event in Montreal. Beatles author Jonathan Gould suggested that the song has only a single, pariah-like protagonist, and Lennon was painting another sardonic self-portrait. MacDonald has suggested that the Juju Eyeballs has been claimed to refer to Dr. John and Spinal Cracker to Ono. The song was later the subject of a lawsuit brought against Lennon by Maurice Levy, because the opening line in Come Together, Here Come Old Flat Top, was admittedly lifted from a line in Chuck Berry's You Can't Catch Me. A settlement was reached in 1973 whereby Lennon promised to record 3 songs from Levy's publishing catalogue for his next album. Come Together was later released as a double A-side single with Something. In the liner notes to the compilation album Love, Martin described the track as a simple song, but it stands out because of the sheer brilliance of the performers. Something. Harrison was inspired to write Something during sessions for the White Album by listening to labelmate James Taylor's Something in the Way She Moves from his album James Taylor. After the lyrics were refined during the Let It Be sessions, the song was initially given to Joe Cocker, but was subsequently recorded for Abbey Road. Cocker's version appeared on his album Joe Cocker that November. Something was Lennon's favorite song on the album, and McCartney considered it the best song Harrison had written, though the song was written by Harrison. Frank Sinatra once commented that it was his favorite Lennon-McCartney composition and the greatest love song ever written. Lennon contributed piano to the recording, and while most of the part was removed, traces of it remain in the final cut, notably on the middle 8, prior to Harrison's guitar solo. The song was issued as a double A-side single with Come Together in October 1969 and topped the US charts for 1 week, becoming the first Beatles #1 single that was not a Lennon-McCartney composition. It was also the first Beatles single from an already released album in the UK. Apple's Neil Aspinall filmed a promotional video, which combines separate footage of the Beatles and their wives. Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Maxwell's Silver Hammer, McCartney's first song on the album, was first performed by the Beatles during the Let It Be sessions. He wrote the song after the group's trip to India in 1968 and wanted to record it for the White Album, but it was rejected by the others as too complicated. The recording was fraught with tension between band members, as McCartney annoyed others by insisting on a perfect performance. The track was the first Lennon was invited to work on following his car accident, but he hated it and declined to do so. According to engineer Jeff Emmerich, Lennon said it was more of Paul's granny music, and left the session. He spent the next 2 weeks with Ono and did not return to the studio until the backing track for Come Together was laid down on the 21st of July. Harrison was also tired of the song, adding, "We had to play it over and over again until Paul liked it. It was a real drag." Starr was more sympathetic to the song. "It was granny music," he admitted, "but we needed stuff like that on our album so other people would listen to it." Starr played the anvil sound in the chorus. This track also makes use of Harrison's Moog synthesizer, played by McCartney. "Oh, Darling. Oh, Darling" was written by McCartney in the doo-wop style, similar to contemporary work by Frank Zappa. It was tried at the Get Back sessions, and a version appears on Anthology 3. It was subsequently re-recorded in April, with overdubs in July and August. McCartney attempted recording the lead vocal only once a day. He said, "I came into the studios early every day for a week to sing it by myself. Because at first my voice was too clear. I wanted it to sound as though I'd been performing it on stage all week." Lennon thought he should have sung it, remarking that it was more his style. Octopus Garden. As was the case with most of the Beatles albums, Starr sang lead vocal on one track. Octopus Garden is his second and last solo composition released on any album by the band. It was inspired by a trip to Sardinia aboard Peter Sellers' yacht after Starr left the band for 2 weeks with his family during the sessions for the White Album. Starr received a full songwriting credit and composed most of the lyrics, though the song's melodic structure was partly written in the studio by Harrison. The pair would later collaborate as writers on Starr's solo singles, It Don't Come Easy, Back Off Boogaloo, and Photograph. I Want You, She's So Heavy. I Want You was written by Lennon about his relationship with Ono, and he made a deliberate choice to keep the lyrics simple and concise. Author Tom Maginnis thought the song had a progressive rock influence. With its unusual length and structure, repeating guitar riff, and white noise effects, though he noted the I Want You section has a straightforward blues structure. The finished song is a combination of 2 different recording attempts. The first attempt occurred almost immediately after the Get Back/Let It Be sessions, in February 1969, with Preston. This was subsequently combined with the second version made during the Abbey Road sessions proper in April. The 2 sections together ran to nearly 8 minutes, making it the Beatles' second longest released track. Lennon used Harrison's Moog synthesizer with a white noise setting to create a wind effect that was overdubbed on the second half of the track. During the final edit, Lennon told Emmerich to cut it right there at 7 minutes and 44 seconds, creating a sudden, jarring silence that concludes the first side of Abbey Road. The final mixing and editing for the track occurred on the 20th of August 1969. The last day all 4 Beatles were together in the studio. Here Comes the Sun. Here Comes the Sun was written by Harrison in Eric Clapton's garden in Surrey while Harrison took a break from stressful band business meetings. The basic track was recorded on the 7th of July 1969. Harrison sang lead and played acoustic guitar, McCartney provided backing vocals and played bass, and Starr played the drums. Lennon was still recuperating from his car accident and did not perform on the track. Martin provided an orchestral arrangement in collaboration with Harrison, who overdubbed a Moog synthesizer part on the 19th of August, immediately before the final mix. Though not released as a single, the song attracted attention and critical praise. It has been featured several times on BBC Radio 4's Desert Island Discs, having been chosen by Sandy Shaw, Jerry Springer, Boris Johnson, and Elaine Page. The Daily Telegraph's Martin Chilton said it was almost impossible not to sing along to, since digital downloads had become eligible to chart. It reached number 56 in 2010 after the Beatles' back catalogue was released on iTunes. Harrison recorded a guitar solo for this track that did not appear in the final mix. It was rediscovered in 2012, and footage of Martin and Harrison's son Danny listening to it in the studio was released on the DVD of Living in the Material World. Because because was inspired by Lennon listening to Ono playing Ludwig van Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata on the piano. He recalled he was lying on the sofa in our house, listening to Yoko play. Suddenly, I said, "Can you play those chords backward?" She did, and I wrote because around them. The track features three-part harmonies by Lennon, McCartney and Harrison, which were then triple-tracked to give 9 voices in the final mix. The group considered the vocals to be some of the hardest and most complex they attempted. Harrison played the Moog synthesizer, and Martin played the harpsichord that opens the track. Medley. Side 2 contains a 16-minute medley of 8 short songs, recorded over July and August and blended into a suite by McCartney and Martin. Some songs were written during sessions for the White Album and Get Back, Let It Be, which later appeared on Anthology 3. While the idea for the medley was McCartney's, Martin claims credit for some structure, adding he wanted to get John and Paul to think more seriously about their music. The first track recorded for the medley was the opening number, You Never Give Me Your Money. McCartney has claimed that the band's dispute over Alan Klein and what McCartney viewed as Klein's empty promises were the inspiration for the song's lyrics. However, MacDonald doubts this given that the backing track, recorded on the 6th of May at Olympic Studios, predated the worst altercations between Klein and McCartney. The track is a suite of varying styles, ranging from a piano-led ballad at the start to arpeggiated guitars at the end. Both Harrison and Lennon provided guitar solos, with Lennon playing the solos at the end of the track, which Beatles author Walter Everett considers his favorite Lennon guitar contribution. This song transitions into Lennon's Sun King, which, like Because, showcases Lennon, McCartney and Harrison's triple-tracked harmonies. Following it are Lennon's Mean Mr. Mustard and Polythene Pam. These in turn are followed by 4 McCartney songs: She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight, and closing with The End. The End features Starr's only drum solo in the Beatles' catalogue. 54 seconds into the song are 18 bars of lead guitar. The first 2 bars are played by McCartney, the second 2 by Harrison, and the third 2 by Lennon, with the sequence repeating. Harrison suggested the idea of a guitar solo in the track. Lennon decided they should trade solos and McCartney elected to go first. The solos were cut live against the existing backing track in one take. Immediately after Lennon's third and final solo, the piano chords of the final part of the song begin. The song ends with a memorable final line, "And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make." This section was taped separately to the first, and required the piano to be re-recorded by McCartney, which was done on the 18th of August. An alternative version of the song, with Harrison's lead guitar solo played against McCartney's, appears on the Anthology 3 album and the 2012 digital-only compilation album Tomorrow Never Knows. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?